house, custom built house.
They like savings time on yesterday.
And so that builder, whatever you paid, sorry, rip it all out. And use my contractor, however much it costs. He's probably gonna cost about 3 times more.
Put down.
It's market.
Yeah.
I don't blame you. Covering somebody else's mistakes, you're not getting a clean, palette to work with.
I've never been to Lake Fort, Texas.
You gotta do work to get it back to ground zero. So it's gonna cost you. Put it down.
They told me that guy.
Grind it down and backfill it with, that, it's like a faux type of concrete.
Be down in Springdale.
And all it does is self level. It fills in the low spots where you grind it down.
But that's a sort of string bass.
But it'll harden like concrete.
7 of the 10.
Older brother.
That's the best we're gonna do.
You could be my child. So
My grandma, I was scared to walk on it. It was so sleep.
Point something.
It was this coating was supposed to be a matte finish, have sand in it and all that stuff. And he didn't do any of it. It was just as shiny as that bottle, right? It's like you can't even walk on it, man. Like it's slick. Slick, but it did scratch.
Security wise, I mean, barely gets past 12.
No.
Probably haven't really got my loose ends, but I'm like, I'm still gonna go get documented. So that in a year from now, he's not, you get a year warranty. You're like, 8 months, he's gone. I'm like, no. You want this documented, this back right from the go.
Get a woman her age.
28 years.
And then I said, shark.
Oh, you're old.
Right, pull them up.
They're gonna have to come over there and build.
Redfish.
It's also a good number, Marsh.
Have to come over there and build buildings.
Yeah, it was.
Sure.
Like 3 or 4 times, which is.
I believe you, yeah.
I'm sure.
Have a big shark. The shark.
I'm gonna move the Hyundai lot.
Blue red snapper.
It's public speaking.
And we could catch, if you wanted to.
Say, Caleb.
Went to both, you caught 2 and I caught 5. Somebody else caught 10.
That's fine. I can't say that.
What was
An underground storage?
Tension.
like that?
That was pretty crazy, but they said it's really, really.
Caught some here. Big coming to work. Bug.
Very wild. You had a.
Yeah, but say it was a nice day to fish. Hit a bug. You had a bug or a boat? Yeah, I got a jitterbug. I run it across the top. Did you say jig or did you say jig for you?
They charge.
Just giving you two. I didn't give them two.
All right. I got dragonfly.
That's why I was sure. There you go.
Corn and all that good stuff.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, man, I need to talk.
This time everybody. Group
Let's go ahead and get started.
Go by the pound.
Evening with the Centerton Board of Zoning Adjustment, March 5th, 2024 with a roll call.
Brandon Swoboda.
Here.
Tony Davis.
Here.
Ben Lewis.
Here.
John Sessoms.
Here.
Jerry Harris.
Here.
Frank Langford.
Here.
Devin Murphy.
Here.
Joey Engel. Jeff Safer.
Here.
All right, first thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our meeting of 2/20 of 2024.
John, I motion to approve the minutes from 2/20/24.
Second.
Motion is second. Is anyone opposed? All right, then announcements, of course, that we'll just do the next Board of Zoning as necessary. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn the Board of Zoning Adjustments meeting.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second to adjourn. Is anyone opposed? We'll go ahead and open up the City of Centerton Planning Commission, March 5th, 2024 with a roll call.
Brandon Swoboda.
Here.
Tony Davis. Ben Lewis. John Sessoms.
Here.
Jerry Harris.
Here.
Frank Langford.
Here.
Devin Murphy.
Here.
Joey Engel. Jeff Safer.
I'm here. Joey did let me know, by the way, so this afternoon he wouldn't be here, so. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our meeting at 2/20 of 2024.
John, I motion to approve the minutes from 2/20/24.
Tony, a second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, next is the ratification of the admin approvals. home occupation, concrete and more near me. Any questions or comments from any of the commissioners or staff?
They have, they're doing like a home renovation business, but they're not keeping anything that has to stay out of their own facility. They're keeping everything out, so it's just administrative.
So just the home office. Administrative.
Yeah.
Home office.
Yeah, their office.
So,
No,
well,
it's-
everything else
Yeah, it's the
will-
same question.
Yeah.
Fix a truck in the front yard.
Yeah.
We already quizzed them.
I assume, just making sure.
F-150.
Oh, yeah.
That's their work vehicle.
If there's no other questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the admin approvals.
That's correct. I make a motion to approve the ratification of administrative approvals.
Motion is second. Is anyone opposed? All right, next on the agenda under new business is MSI 2305, the Lucas Law Firm. Proposed parking lot at 149 North A Street, Zone C2. It's a 0.25 acres and Mark Lucas is the applicant, I guess the owner. Is the applicant here to give us an overview or what's your request? If you just give us a quick overview of what you're asking for. Your name and then what you're asking for and all, I guess.
I'm Mark Lucas. I've been practicing in Centerton as a lawyer for 8 years in the role. Had the opportunity to buy a building on A Street that's been zoned commercial, but it's a house from 1960. So taking a shot, trying to invest something in the area and turn it into my law firm. It'll be a small firm, but hopefully good landscaping, nice look, good for the city. Parking, maybe acceptable. Provide additional services to what Mr. Rabel provides.
All right, Haley, you want to give a staff overview?
Yeah, so this parcel is located in our original downtown area, just west of North Main Street. As he said, it's on North A Street. The parcel is already zone C2, and there's an existing house and an existing garage on the property. The owner, Mark Lucas, is proposing to convert that existing home into an office for his law firm. So due to the use of the building changing from residential to commercial, the lot now must meet our development standards and make the necessary changes to meet fire and building code. Please do note that some of the work has already been done on site, and that's including the laying of a new concrete drive, the addition of a ramp and the ADA handrails, and I have attached pictures of what the site looks like right now. So for the zoning, it's already zone C2. And they're proposing to convert their existing structure, so they'll just be doing changes to the inside of the structure to make it meet building and fire code, and not having the buildings or expanding the building at all, just the inside. So because this was originally residential, it doesn't meet the setback standards for C2, but in our code, there is a provision that as long as, and it's in your guys' packet, as long as there are certain provisions are met, the non-conforming structure can remain. And the building does meet those provisions currently. For the utilities, it's already has existing water and sewer services because it's already using that existing structure. I do know that the inside, he's gonna have to like fix the bathroom and whatnot to be ADA accessible, but that's buildings, rodeo. So for the adjacent road, it's on North A Street, which is designated as a local road. It's currently has a right of way of 40 feet and already has curb, gutter, pavement, the 5-foot sidewalk. So due to the layout of the road already being established, no on-street parking is allowed. I talked to Anthony Martinez, our public works director. He plans for the street, they have planned to put no parking signs on it so that they don't park on the street. For the access and parking, it'll have one access off of North A Street, which is shown on his site plan. That concrete is already laid. So we had to work with what's already there to make the parking work. So per our development code, he needs one parking space for every 250 square foot of the building, which resulted in 9 required parking spaces. Based on the attached plans, 4 parking spaces could be provided to the building and then like the one on the front. And then 5 parking spaces will be provided off the rear. There is an alley, it's unmaintained. on the west side of the property that he can do a gravel parking lot off the back of for the employee parking. And then the employees will have an access to the back door. So that they have direct access to the building. For the drainage, there are no changes to the drainage, and that's been approved by the city engineer. For landscaping and screening, this parcel does directly abut a piece of property that's still being used as residential. So he is required to provide screening. Because that concrete was laid before we got plans for the site, we weren't able to catch the residential compatibility standards before that concrete got laid. So between the concrete and the property line, there's room for either trees or a fence. And he's had conversations and we've had conversations with the neighbor and they would prefer trees. So there's a line of trees along the west side, or I guess the north side, which are pencil holly, and those are like a tall bush, almost at like 4 feet. And then he's got some additional landscaping proposed along the front of his building. So we recommend approval of that proposed landscaping plan. For the lighting, there's already an existing street light on the west property line, so no additional street light is needed. He will be adding additional exterior lights at the entrances of the building and then on that garage to allow for adequate lighting in the parking area, and then at entrances, the exact lighting fixtures, because they'll be fixed to the residence or the office that will go through the building department. And then for ADA compliance, his ramp and ADA handrails do meet the ADA requirements. He will still need to work with the building department and fire department to make sure his interior is ADA compliant and meet all codes. There are a few just minor tweaks left on this plan in terms of like labeling that need to be done, but overall it conforms. Happy to answer any questions.
How far is it, off of the C2 requirement for setback?
Pretty far. So the C2 setback is 50 feet. So Diane, can you like point out where that 50-foot setback is?
Well, I can't see.
Here it is.
Yeah, them button glasses.
Feet.
So the dimension of the building, 28 to the 7, it's about 37 feet. But it's the existing home already there.
Think about the other one though, that's on Main Street, that they got redeveloped and it's right next to a house, right? I mean, just in some of this older downtown.
The real estate
properties,
places.
yeah, it's gonna be a little tougher to get those spaces, right? But I think,
Yeah, the big thing is if he decides to expand in the future, any expansion would have to be back behind those setback lines is the only thing.
You can't make the building
Expand the
more.
non-conformity.
Yeah.
But what it is now can stay.
And with that short setback, is there plan for signage or anything to go in there?
I think it'll just be like on your door or signage. Are you planning on having a sign?
Signage of what?
Like for
Say
your-
Lucas Law Firm out there, something like a freestanding sign or.
I'm, it's taken a while to get to this point. Like right here. Just in this area, probably facing, there's like a air pump up, like a tire air pump up thing at Casey's. You'd be amazed how many people pull in there and park and pump up their tires. I mean, it's just like full frontal, free ad space. So why not right?
there's a process for that too, by the way, so.
Yeah, I didn't see it on here. That's why I was asking if there's signage plan.
The sign permit process for the location and all that stuff.
Are there any other questions or comments? Well, thanks for redeveloping in the downtown area. If there are no other questions or comments, that I would entertain a motion for MSI 2305 for the Lucas Law Firm at 149 North A Street.
John, a motion to approve MSI 2305 Lucas Law Firm.
Greg, a second.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, thanks. Good luck.
Percent.
All right, next on the agenda is Development 2401 Plaza Tire Center. This is the preliminary plans and plat at 840 East Clinton Boulevard. As a reminder, it's Zone C2, 1.27 acres. How are you tonight?
Great.
You just give us your name and what you guys are thinking coming back. And then what you guys changed or what you're requesting tonight?
My name is Candace Anderson with CI Engineering. This is our large scale development submittal. We are moving forward with the project. We have accommodated the northwest access easement crossway for the Walgreens facility or building. And let's see, we are accommodating our parking stalls, landscape, trash enclosure, access to the 112 highway. Is that 112? I'm sorry. 102, thank you. And yes, this is our large scale. So this is our submittal for the approved.
Kayla?
Yeah, so this parcel is located on East Centerton Boulevard between the Walgreens and the Tooth Squad. The project proposes a tire service center, which will include one 6,665 square foot building and parking for the development. I do want to note that previously a waiver request to allow the additional entrance on the East Centerton Boulevard was denied, so that this project will share the existing entrances with Walgreens and Tooth Squad. For the zoning, it's zone C2 and the setbacks are listed in your packet for you. For utilities, there is Centerton Water and Sewer along East Centerton Boulevard. There's existing gas line along the north property line, as well as existing franchise utilities. For the drainage for this property will tie into the Copper Oak subdivision and development. No additional drainage improvements are needed at this time, and a drainage report was not required for this development. The city engineer has approved the drainage for this development with one outstanding comment regarding the drainage possibly going onto an adjoining property in the northwest corner. For the adjacent street agreement, right-of-way dedication isn't required as right-of-way already exists in compliance with the master street plan. And the road is already widened here. This project they will provide street trees outside of the RDOT right-of-way, streetlights, and a sidewalk connection from Highway 102 to the building. So with that said, staff does recommend approval of the adjacent street agreement. For connectivity, this development, as I said before, will be sharing the entrances onto East Centerton Boulevard with Tooth Squad and Walgreens. An additional access will be provided at the rear of the lot between Walgreens and this development to allow for proper access for the larger delivery trucks to access off of Copper Oaks. The access easement between the rear of Walgreens and this development was previously dedicated when this parcel was proposed to be a different commercial development. A 24-foot access easement will need to be dedicated along the front of this development to tie all of the shared accesses together. For parking, this development is required to provide one parking space for 200 square feet of building space, which would require 34 parking spaces. This development proposed 35 parking spaces and 2 ADA spaces. For lighting, the streetlights are provided at entrances and every 300 feet within the development to provide adequate lighting. Staff recommends approving the lighting plan contingent on providing an additional streetlight in the northwest corner of the parking lot to provide adequate lighting, and that recommendation is made based on the photometric plan. The photometric plan already shows a streetlight being accounted for there, but it's not actually shown on the site plan, so they just need to. For the landscaping is provided within open spaces throughout the development, including landscaping around the dumpster and the parking lot islands and along the frontage of Highway 102. There's an existing fence along the north and northeast property lines. Additional landscaping is provided along that north and northeast property lines to serve as a screening between this development and the residential to the north and the northeast. So staff recommends approval of the landscaping contingent on approval from Centerton Utilities, since there are some utility lines running through there. They're being more specific on what trees can go next to those water lines. For the trash enclosure, this development proposes a concrete block dumpster enclosure with metal gates. One side of the dumpster will be used for old tire storage and is covered using galvanized metal roof decking. For remaining comments, we have some minor comments that I've already talked about. Alan has that one main comment regarding the drainage, and then Centerton Utilities is still reviewing the latest submittal. But when I talked to Malcolm, he said he wasn't concerned that there would be any major comments left. So any approval should be contingent on addressing remaining staff comments. That's it.
Well, the tires that you guys are gonna store back there, they get above that Uh,
No,
Dumpster
the
enclosure.
dumpster is enclosed, fully enclosed. We
oh,
do,
it's covered on the,
correct. We do have an elevation on that.
Okay.
That shows the enclosure, roof enclosure.
Yeah, so half the dumpster is enclosed with a roof and then the other half is like normal dumpster.
perfect. Any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners?
Can't really, read the truck path very well. So that, there's two different ones on there. Okay. I was like, wow, it seems like a lot. My only question was in the bottom right-hand corner. It looks like we're crossing the curb.
I'll go back to it.
Yes.
No, you're good right there. Oh, you moved it and then, yeah.
Or drift when you.
Is it drifting? Yeah. Take it around. Is that like a planned path or is that the,
There are two paths that are actually over each other currently. It's not clearly defined. We do have a path that actually meets that corner, however, it's a really tight corner. But it is a path all the way down to Centerton Boulevard and it's in a west-easternly direction.
one of them's not good, the other one's a good path? Right, okay, I thought that was the case, I just wanted to-
So the trucks would enter Walgreens, circle around and then.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you for working with two neighbors to make that work. I appreciate it. If there's no other questions or comments, then I would entertain a motion to approve the development plan 2401 for Plaza Tire with the preliminary plot and plans. That does include the final staff comments
And the adjacent street agreement.
and the adjacent street.
This is Tony, I make a motion to approve Natural One Plaza Tire Center with the adjacent street agreements and staff comments.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed? All right, thank you guys. Good luck. All right, next on the agenda is subdivision 2119 Ambi Estates. This is a request for a 1-year extension. 8660 North Rainbow Farm Road. It is zoned R3 duplex, 7.89 acres. Would you like to cover it?
Yes, I will. I didn't know if the owner and developer was here or not. Apparently. We're not sure if they were a planner. Ambi Estates, they have come before you guys before for an extension. That was back in March of 2023. And their expiration is March 21st of 2024. But they're coming to you for an additional extension due to issues receiving their ADH permit. They did send an email stating that they are in like the final phases of that. They're not really caught up in the other ADH approval issues, but we're waiting on Daisy Road duplexes to get to a point where they can connect to their sewer. Because they kind of got blocked out of sewer access without being able to get an easement for some other property owners. So, but they are in the final phases of getting that, so hopefully should get it soon. We decided, that it would be best to have them come to you just in case they don't get it before the 21st. Everything is still the same that was approved by y'all previously, that is asking for an extension.
So what we approved in 23 was an extension or
Yes.
Yes.
so this would be the second extension?
Correct.
Was the first extension for the same reason?
Yes. And I think their very first one was, they were hung up because of sewer capacity issues.
Yeah.
Now, I think they've gotten weeded out of that, but they've got to wait for Daisy Road duplexes to get to a certain point where they can connect to their sewer.
I think Daisy Road
Yeah,
is
they-
there and they're.
So we would have reviewed this and approved it in 22 then,
Yes,
or 21.
22.
So based on some of the changes that we've made, to any codes or anything like that, is it worthy of a review at some point or in the last 2 years or?
We haven't really changed the R3 duplex. I'm trying to think of any ideas, R3 duplex, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, we haven't really changed that one since then, so I don't think it would require a re-review.
Okay.
Because we hadn't make any major changes to that one.
All right. I'm thinking back to the last subdivision that we just approved where there were some road things and some right of way and some other stuff, so. After
Right.
2 years, is there anything that we need to review on this one or just?
Say the right of way wouldn't have changed at all.
That was
Um,
even earlier.
yeah, cause I mean, it'd still meet the 50 foot for a local with the sidewalks. The drainage capacity and whatnot wouldn't have changed. Maybe some tweaks to that. The street light requirement was added to put them at every 300. So
No,
that
it's
would
always been every 300.
highly surprised that was in here.
So I guess my recommendation would be that we do a brief review of any changes that have happened over the last 2 years.
Okay.
Eric should be able to do that rather quickly to see the changes that we've made, and then if anything needs to be updated, then because that's my recommendation.
Okay.
Just after 2.5, almost 3 years,
Yeah.
something that we need to look at.
Yeah, and there's the possibility that they could get their ADH approval before this expires. We were just trying to be ahead of the game.
Any other questions or comments from any of the commissioners? If not, then I would entertain a motion for subdivision 2119 Amby Estates, the request for a 1-year extension.
John,
Wait.
go ahead, Brandon, it's all yours.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Oh, you had your chance, man.
No. I'm confused about what's being asked here because are we doing the review before we're voting to approve this extension?
Yes,
So then today
but if there's something that's found, then Eric would bring it back to us. So we should put in there kind of a contingent on.
Depending on no code changes between. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, between when it was originally and now.
Okay, and I'm sorry, one more question. So would a
I'm just messing with you. Go ahead.
I know, that's really good. Would a code change be the fact that these neighborhoods that have been or are being built around there, would they have had a requirement to do a curb and gutter?
Yeah, everything in the curb and gutter. I'm not sure on Rainbow Farm, if and what they're doing. Because they are north of Brookside Road, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they are north of Brookside, and I'm trying to recall why they were not doing curb and gutter as required.
Was that not a deal that? Are they on the ground?
But drainage,
I think that was.
something with drainage, and if they did that there, it would make the drainage worse instead of better if they did curb and gutter just there. Cause there's none further.
There is no curb on Rainbow Farm on the east side where this is located. There's only on the west side of Rainbow Farm for Brookside subdivision and on the south side. At that, there will be on the north side of Brookside, but where that is, there's no other curb. And there's a pretty significant ditch on that east side. But also because it's just a paved road, it would just fall under the half street improvements of just paving. And I would assume it's curb and guttered inside though.
Yes, in interior, yes, it is curb and gutter. And then they're doing 40 feet of right of way, which is the requirement. Since Rainbow Farm is a collector. And they would be doing an 8-inch overlay to meet the master street plan requirements. A 10-foot trail would also be built.
So at some point, there could be a curb and gutter on that side of the street at some point, is that correct?
So right now, it's all residential homes on that east side, Rainbow Farm, until you get to this one here. If it would be, it'd be a lot of agreements, either someone buys out all of those homes to put in something larger, or something that the street department here would do through easements through them to do it.
So at some point, let's say that does happen, somebody does buy it and would do that, and then they have to put in the curb and gutter and all of that stuff. Would they be required to do it as well?
Not actually up
They would have
here.
provided the right of way of which to do it.
Correct.
So really with up here on this end, the big thing would be if the property on the northwest corner of Brookside and Rainbow Farm ever sells. Right now, there's a pond there. They put up a fence. There's 3 or 4 structures. If they sell and someone puts something in there, that's when they'd end up being required to do that secondary half street on Brookside. So put curb and gutter on their side. And then because this one's widening it to account for that half street, they'd be putting curb and gutter on both east and west on Rainbow Farm.
I guess, and the reason I'm asking, and maybe I don't understand fully, so I'm just gonna default to your, is if we end up voting for this and it says no curb or gutter is required, and then down the road, they're still doing their business in this, and then everybody buys up and there's curb and gutter up to this point, they're not required to put that in on their property, so it stops. Is the way I guess in my mind it's working, and so can we put a contingency in the vote? Should a curb and gutter on that side of the road ever begin based on other folks purchasing the properties and developing, they would be required to do the same and match up to them?
So with half street improvements, half street is kind of misleading. So the first person who comes in paves the road. Next person to come in does the curb and gutter and drainage. So in the next time somebody comes adjacent to this property, the road's already there, they don't have to pave it. So their requirement is then by code to do the rest of the improvements to the road.
Both sides.
Yeah.
So subsequent owners, a subsequent buyer would have to finish the curb. They didn't finish, but they would have to provide the right of way now of which for them to do
Okay,
that.
thank you.
So this normal road here is 26 feet wide, paved. When it's all built out, it would be 34 feet of pavement, so it's only 8 feet of pavement.
Okay.
Hence where they're putting 8 feet of pavement by widening all of that, but then they're also paying for the curb and gutter on both sides. And that's where it's deemed, it's yeah, relatively equal hardship on both property owners that are developed.
Makes sense, thank you.
So you'll see.
Thanks for clarifying.
We go out, you'll see curb, no curb, curb, no curb, as you kind of go out where we're expanding it wider. Because now we're getting the pavement. And the curb will come next.
That makes sense. Thank you for explaining. I just didn't want us to get in the pickle.
No, it's good.
Good question.
Say if both sides never develop, or the other side never develops, then we have kind of like gaps. And every now and then the street department will fill into the infill. That's it all done when we get to that point.
Thank you.
And they are doing street trees along Rainbow Farm and on the southeastern property lines adjacent to the detention pond.
We do have another PCD before this expires, so if you guys feel more comfortable tabling it till the next meeting so that we can review and bring it back to you. That's an option.
Doesn't have to be extended.
By council. It doesn't have to be extended by council.
So with today being the 5th, they'll have 2 extra days, you know, it'll be right before it expires.
And they could also get each approval between now and then. They're that close. Yeah.
Open to whatever you guys want to do.
I'd almost wait to give you guys time to review the code just to make sure, and then if they happen to get their approval, then it's a moot point anyway. Now you just save some time.
Then I would entertain a motion to table the request for subdivision 2119 extension.
It's John, a motion to table subdivision 2119 on the estates till next meeting.
I think it's March 20th.
20th.
Today's the 5th.
I just said next meeting, whatever day that was.
Y'all do math, so I'm, who knows what it's gonna be.
Okay,
Whatever the next.
Second.
I beat you.
Oh, well.
Motion and a second. Is anyone opposed?
I heard somebody ran one. This way we're not assuming the code is the same and we've had time to look at it.
There's the council meeting the 12th. Next PC meeting is the 19th.
It's right there.
If you, if you can't,
Nugent over here.
if you can't be present, please let us know. Tony will not be here.
And Mike Ford.
Nice.
I will not have access to internet.
I don't blame you.
That's you see that?
Anything else from staff?
We have been reviewing the Title 15 plans, and if you guys plans code, right? Please give us any comments if you guys have any. I know Joey said he was working on some. Hopefully he's had a chance before he caught whatever lovely bug he has. We had a meeting with Garver. We spent all day with them yesterday. And then we have another meeting with them next Wednesday. We go through some more, 'cause it's an all day meeting, but if you guys looked at it and see anything that you found was weird or praise us or anything like that, just please, send us your comments.
And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion second, is anyone opposed?